All right, so it's the end of World War I. Hard fought battle. Things was a little crazy, but the war ended. We're back home. We're trying to pick up the pieces of our life here in the United States. When you have Representative Hawley and Senator Smoot. Hawley is from Oregon. Smoot, he's from Utah. Okay. Now, currently, the U.S. economy is made up of 20% agriculture. All right. And what Smoot and Hawley decided to present to the world was the opportunity to tax over 900 imports into the United States of America by 40 to 60%. Okay? Now, when you have agriculture that serves as 20% of the economy, that's going to hurt. Now, they said it was a means for them to be able to protect farmers from being negatively impacted by the economy and everything that was going on. Mind you, the Great Depression was, in the throes, but not as bad as it was finna get. What ends up happening is that the law passes. And as soon as the law passes, the stock market slumps. Okay, within the next 3 years, exports from out of the United States go from $7 billion worth and drops to $2.5 billion. That is a lot of money to all of a sudden be missing from the U.S. economy. Then on top of that, world trade stops in its tracks by 65%. Sends the United States economy into turmoil, okay? Everybody poor. And by everybody, I mean all of the white people. Because black people had no clue this was going on. They didn't know banks was failing and all that other stuff. You know why? Because black people were not able to bank at white banks. So they were not knowing. Meanwhile, the rest of America is getting broken off something serious. And that taught the United States a very, very interesting lesson about tariffs and about how it impacts the economy, because it gravely impacts world trade. Now, I want you to know that once we drop them tariffs on everybody like that, they hit us with tariffs back, as they should, okay? Because a tariff is a threat. And not to mention, tariffs are more so used as a means to cause a country to do a correct action when they have done an incorrect action. It's kind of like a sanction of sorts, right? So it's used for behavioral correctedness, or a tool to be able to correct some type of governmental behavior that another country is doing to you that you don't particularly like. Well, today, President Donald Trump announces that he's going to put a 10% tariff on every import. Not some, not this or that, every. And it ranges, right? I think the last thing I read, he said there's going to be 35% on China and 20% here and 15% there. But now he's just like, we're just going to do it to everybody. This is American freedom. Now, I would be able to believe you if you told me, Tori, he doesn't really know what tariffs are. Remember, we've been talking about this. He doesn't know what a tariff is, and that's why he keeps on doing the whole thing with tariffs and stuff like that. There's an interview with President Trump about tariffs where he is explained and corrected about what tariffs are. And he says, oh, I didn't know that. So now he actually knows that tariffs are penalties that the American people pay. And yet he continues. I've been saying this from the very, very beginning. And this is what makes Trump supporters very interesting to me. Because they believe that he cares about them while he intentionally does things to harm them. Intentionally. Before he could say, I didn't know, which anybody that's been in the court of law, you know, ignorance is not a defense. But here we have the President of the United States that knows the type of financial harm and difficulty that tariffs have on his citizenry, and he does not care. I am not surprised at all, because this is the same not caring that he displayed and exhibited during COVID in his first term. So there is no way that within those years that he's been out of office, he somehow created a heart of empathy for anyone. And that includes the rich or otherwise. He doesn't have empathy towards anyone. And so the reason why I'm bringing you this information is because we have been through this before. Why is this important? It's because we already know what happens when tariffs like this happen. We know, number one, other countries are going to retaliate with tariffs. They're already doing it, and thusly it shall continue. But number two, we also know that our entire infrastructure becomes unstable and things will begin to fall apart. This is your PSA to prepare so that you can be preventative in your households as opposed to being reactionary. You know what's to come. We know how we can resolve it, or at least insulate us from the most brutal of damage that it could cause. I implore you to use your brain and begin to insulate yourself. This year is not like last year. And I'm sure that there's a lot of people that are missing Uncle Joe right about now.